I own AlleeDoMyMakeup, and you're watching What's Your Hustle podcast.
What's your hustle? What do you do? Here to bring money and attention to you. A lot of people want to know, you gotta give them the truth. Here to run the numbers up, we about to go through the roof. What's your hustle? What's your hustle? Here to talk about your grind, how you spend your time. We done brought you to the show, you gotta speak what's on your mind. What's your hustle? What's your hustle? What's your hustle? What's your hustle?
Welcome to the What's Your Hustle podcast. And today we have Allee do my makeup with us today. I'm so happy to have her here today. I remember the first time I met her on a video shoot. She was doing the young lady's makeup, and she did such an awesome job. I really
Thank
like
you.
her passion.
Thank you.
And she has some great talent, so I had to have her on the show. So first off, Allee, please tell everybody where they can look you up at on
All
social
right.
media.
So I'm Allee of Allee Do My Makeup. You can find me at Allee Do My Makeup on Instagram, but my parents got creative with the spelling, so that's A, two L's, two E's, three fingers. Same on Facebook, and you can find me here. Watch this podcast on yours. So.
So, Allee, tell us a little bit about your entrepreneur journey as far as being a makeup artist and when it all started.
So I am actually fairly new to this, even though most of my peers have been in the business for close to a decade at this point. I'm in year 3. I am professionally schooled as a human resources coordinator and decided a couple years ago that, you should wake up and be excited about what you're doing every day. And I always had this passion to work in the beauty industry. I loved it. My friends work in this industry. And I would feel this jealousy inside of me about, oh man, they love their jobs every day that they get to go to. And I just kind of, don't really feel anything about mine. But I had a great conversation with one of my best friends, and I was telling her, I don't know where I'm going in my career, and this is what I want to do, and I just feel like I missed the boat. And she said, "Who's telling you no besides you?" So at that moment, it sort of all clicked in my head, and I thought, "You're absolutely right. What's holding me back?" So that night, I registered for classes to become certified as a professional makeup artist, and I finished my education, started taking clients a little at a time, mostly working with friends right off the bat because I was nervous. But since down that road, it's been year 3, like I said now, and booking into year 4. And that's exciting.
Let's talk a little bit about getting the education part, because a lot of times as entrepreneurs, like when first starting out, they're like, I just want to go and just
Right.
make money and get clients,
Right.
but we skip the education part and sometimes get that later. But you decided to do that beforehand. Like,
I did. One of the things, and it's different state by state, but when you're working in a cosmetology-based field, you do have to be licensed or certified in some way to be able to work professionally and to carry insurance for your company, which is super important, obviously, when you're working with somebody's face and their eyes. Heck, I wouldn't trust somebody that wasn't insured to put makeup on my eyeballs.
Right.
That's asking for trouble. So I knew that I needed to get an education so that I could do everything safely. And to have an edge in my field, there's only so much that talent and excitement can get you. You need to have a background in how things work too. So I got my background, and I've been building on it since then. I took the initial course to get certified, and then each year I've been a part of going to beauty shows, beauty conventions in the Chicago area and in the Detroit area, seeing other professional makeup artists that work on celebrities speak, people that have founded their own makeup lines, so that I can stay up on, how does this work? What are we coming out with? How should I actually do this to make this look even better? I just think continuing your education helps you keep an edge on what's new. Otherwise, everything looks the same forever.
like what type of mindset would you say that you have to have in order to not only be an entrepreneur, but a makeup artist in general?
I think you definitely have to You have to be able to work with others well. This is not a career field where your opinion is the only one that matters. You have to give people, they're paying you for a service, and they've selected you because they like your work, but at the same time, they want to look a certain way, and you have to give that to them. Obviously, I've had a few clients that we didn't see, their vision was not something that I felt was something that I was comfortable delivering for them. So there's been a few that we haven't connected on the same eye-to-eye wavelength, but you definitely have to be able to work with difficult personalities. You have to be patient. You have to be willing to work crazy hours. I had a 4 a.m. wedding last year. They were booked at a church that their service started at 9, and so we had to be there at 4 a.m. to start getting them going. You just have to be willing to be flexible, roll with it, kind of do whatever to get this end product. There's no set path. Every client is different. You're never going to have the same combination of events twice. So you definitely have to be able to just kind of roll with it.
So I know with doing weddings, it can be a lot of pressure. You know, it's a hectic day. It's a lot of stuff that's happening, very on the time schedule kind of thing. So how do you deal with the pressure, especially sometimes working with other people? Like they'll be stressed out and they'll try to project like that negative energy
Yes.
towards you. So how do you like navigate through that?
So I feel like I have an on switch sometimes where you have to be, this is somebody's wedding day. This might be just another day of business or work for you. You leave at 2 o'clock and you've got plans for the rest of the day. You're not thinking twice about what you did an hour ago, which that just can't be the case. This is somebody's wedding day. It's part of their memories forever. So you have to check yourself before you walk in and say, I am part of their day. I'm delivering a service, professional at all times. You can joke and you can have fun. Or when people start getting negative, though, that's sort of when you either remove yourself from that conversation or you kind of double up on the let me help kind of attitude. As far as keeping time pace, though, one of my things is I can't take 10 minutes on somebody and an hour on somebody else. You have a schedule that you stay on. So they almost always have music playing, and if not, I'll suggest playing a playlist or something off my own phone, and I can time myself based on how many songs have gone by. So that's sort of a timekeeper for me to keep me moving, to keep everything on schedule, because again, there's no wiggle room on a wedding schedule.
So you're doing what you love to do, right? So when you do what you love to do, sometimes it's hard to put like a value to that, right? Or to
Definitely.
charge people when you're having fun, because it's not like work.
Yes.
So what's some of the techniques that you used, or what was the process that you went through to say, okay, I'm gonna do this as a business, so I have to charge. So how was that for you?
There was some trial and error, especially in that first year. When I first started out, I did a lot of research on not people that I thought my work was compared to, but just everybody in the area that offered makeup, whether it was a salon, whether it was a freelance artist, whether it was a team of girls. I figured out what did they offer, what little extras come with it. Like, do you have to go to their salon or do they come to you? Do they offer, for makeup, there's hand applied and there's airbrush. Those are the two most common techniques. And airbrush is a more expensive piece of equipment, more expensive product to use. So typically that's a higher price point. So those are some of the things that I looked at. But also, when I first started out, I wanted to give people a reason to take a chance on me. Even though I didn't have a lot of content to show them yet and I was new, I wanted them to have a reason to say, you know what, we're going to try her. I think that she's going to do a good job. I was so cheap. I was giving things away. So typical makeup, my 2021 bridal price for somebody to get a face of makeup done is $70. I was charging $35 with free trials. Try it out first, see if you like it. If you want to book me, $35. If you hate it, fine, you don't have to book me. That's unheard of, but I was fortunate to have some great client experiences. they told their friends told their friends. If I did a bridal party, that's a bride and like 5 girls. They all have friends. Fortunately, in my friend group, we're all in our late 20s, early 30s. People are starting to get married like every single weekend. So there's been a lot of potential clientele to have just through word of mouth. I've been very fortunate with that.
Nice. So, how would you define success?
I think my version of success when I feel most successful now, it's when you know the client that I've worked on is so happy with how she looks. She feels good about herself. I'm feeling good about the content that I've delivered for my website, for my social media accounts. I'm feeling financially secure and the sun's shining. That's when I feel most successful. Doesn't hurt if my outfit looks good too.
So, right. So I know, like me as a videographer, I know when I was starting out, I kind of got like discouraged somewhat because I'm like, oh wow, it's a lot of videographers out here. What am I
Yeah.
going to do to stand out? How am I going to make money or thrive in this particular situation if it's so many people doing the same thing? Did you ever have thoughts like that?
Definitely. I think that everybody that works in a competitive field does, and yours is similar to mine. People are hiring you for a service. It's creative, so their opinion is involved. I think that you have to take into consideration that your style is not going to work for everybody. What you think is beautiful or attractive or cool or stylish is not what everybody thinks is. So you can't be offended that not everybody wants to work with you, because you don't want to work with everybody anyway. And then another local hairdresser that I've been fortunate enough to meet in the area she just sort of like blurted it out on a whim on one of her Instagram stories one day. She said, "You couldn't do everybody's hair in town even if you wanted to, so just chill out."
Right.
So, and I don't do hair, but it's so similar to working in a creative field. You couldn't physically do it all anyway, even if you actually wanted to. There's space for everybody. And some of my most awesome friendships that I've made in the last couple of years have been with potential competition. There's no reason not to play nice and work together. So I'm
So,
I'm all for a little teamwork.
got you. So how do you find new clients? Like, do you run like Facebook ads? Do you get on like these wedding websites, or is it like all word of mouth for you?
I am primarily word of mouth. I've done some of the sponsored posting. It's interesting to see the reach that can get, because Facebook and Instagram give you so many cool tools that you can kind of look at and see this reached this many people clicked on it. I think that that's useful to know. But I think that most of my business has come through Instagram. And honestly, I don't know how creatives like us worked before social media was so prominent in our lives, because seriously, how it's the quickest way to share a picture with somebody, to share a picture with 1,000 somebodies, or when you get to that point, tens of thousands of somebodies, and they all show their friends. Some of the things that I did to help grow my name and my follower base was collabs with other creatives. Like you and I have worked together in the past, with photographers and models. That's awesome, because anywhere that my name gets tagged, that fresh base of people sees it. So I'm always interested in just working with new people, trying new ideas. There's South Bend is a small area. Indiana and the Midwest, it's not that big. We're not trying to find our footing in New York City or something like that. There's definitely a need for our services around here. So I think it's just about getting your name in front of the right person.
I definitely agree with you as far as about working and collaborating with other individuals. What's some, from your perspective, like what's some tips that you can give people out there to collaborate, like if they're on the fence about it?
I think that one of the most intimidating things that I have felt in being part of a collaboration is that you're so impressed by what the other people have done that you almost wonder, do I fit into this? Especially when you're newer, starting out, or you haven't done it yet. Take that chance. The odds are they would not have asked you if they didn't think your work was just as good as you think theirs is.
Right.
And it's free marketing. to have somebody else on their account share your work, that's free marketing. Take it. Take anything that you can get to get your name out there. No press is going to be bad for you at that stage unless you're being an idiot. So definitely just be brave enough to do it. And if you aren't being contacted to be a part of the collaboration, don't be afraid to reach out. If they say no, that doesn't leave you any worse off than you were before. So the answer is always no if you don't ask.
What would you say? What would you say motivates you?
So one of my personal goals, not my South Bend goal, not my next year goal, but I want to do makeup for the Met Gala in New York City. It's every May, the first Monday in May, every year. It's my most favorite celebrity event. I've been obsessed with it since I was like in high school. And every time that I'm contacted by somebody that I think is like a little more famous than the last one or a little more interesting than the last project I worked on, I feel like I'm one step closer to hitting that goal. So just that continued climb, it feels so satisfying as a business owner and as somebody that, you know, works independently for the most part, to feel yourself climb that ladder closer towards something that you want. I just think that feeling of I checked that box off my list just pushes me to want to get to the next one. Self-satisfaction, I think, is the best satisfaction.
What would be some advice that you would give somebody that's watching this that's interested in, you know, making this like their full-time thing? Like, what would you say to them?
Well, I would say, just like it was told to me, at this point, who's telling you no? If you're a grown adult and you're financing your own life, you're the only person telling you no. So be smart about it. And starting a new career, especially something with equipment and supplies, is expensive. It's not cheap. If you invest cheaply, you're gonna get what you pay for. So there's definitely financial responsibility that comes along with taking a step into, you know, freelancing or running your own business, or just even expanding part-time into something like that. So make sure it's something that you're ready for. It's a time commitment. You can't just post a picture and then, you know, not check your results or not check your email for weeks at a time. You have to dedicate more time than you would ever think that you need to starting your own successful business. So I just think that financially, make sure that you're secure and make sure you can dedicate the time that you would want to dedicate to it. And then after that, just go. In whatever way you can fit it into your life, just do it. That's how I did it. I worked full time at a completely unrelated career, and I would come home at night and I would do my test works. And then how it worked was I would record videos of myself doing makeup on either myself or volunteers that I'd gotten, or they would even have me do practice things on actual pieces of paper. I would have to take tests on, you know, what chemicals can't be mixed together, that kind of stuff. I would be up till midnight and, you know, up for work again at 6 a.m. because I was so excited about fitting this into my life and making this happen, that you just have to make it work. It's never going to be comfortable at first.
What's like, I know you touched on a little bit, but describe like a typical day for you, and like some of like the behind the scenes stuff that people who don't know, like, not even thinking about, you know.
There's definitely a lot of, let's see, as far as the less glamorous things that people might not think about, there's a lot of safety and sanitation that goes into makeup, and I'm sure that that's similar to anybody in a cosmetology type field. But if I were to put makeup all over you, for instance, I'm going to use brushes and tools and you know, all sorts of different things that have now been all over your face. And then the next person comes in and it's their turn. I've got 5 minutes in between clients. I can't just pick up all this stuff that I already rubbed over this person and use it on a stranger, another person. You know, that's not safe. So there's a lot of cleaning involved. How you present yourself is, I think, a big deal. If you walk in with a hot mess looking kit, people aren't going to take you seriously. So staying organized, staying clean. There's a lot of equipment to haul around. I'm 6 feet tall. I'm sitting in a chair right now, so people might not know this, but if I have a chair that lifts people up off the ground nice and high so that I don't spend all day bent over. I did a couple of months of that, and I felt like I was 100 years old. So, lighting, you can't do makeup in somebody's dark bathroom. You just can't. So, if you want them to look good, you typically have to provide the lighting. So, I travel with my full kit, my ring light, my studio chair, a folding table because sometimes there's not even a surface area to set up on, depending what type of shoot you're doing. My trunk is full. I drive an SUV for a reason.
I mean, what makes you keep doing this? I mean, because that sounds like a lot of hard work. And like, do you have an assistant that comes along to help tell some of this stuff? Like,
I right now I do not have an assistant. It is any job that you're passionate about is typically not easy work, but I just don't even think twice about it. That's just carry this stuff in to get started on what you love. You have to. It's like putting pants on in the morning.
right. No, I totally understand. I mean, I work primarily by myself a lot of times, and so I got to tote all of this gear in and out. But
It's a pain. Three
right,
flights of stairs when it's 90 degrees in August and you're in a barn somewhere. It's not fun,
right.
but
But when you're passionate, when you love something,
yeah,
you do whatever.
it's just part of the job. Like you have
Right.
to drive to get somewhere. You've got to carry this stuff up the stairs to get somewhere.
So, do you believe like that is some sort of formula that you can follow in order to become successful?
I don't know that there's necessarily a formula that would work for everybody, but I think that it takes a certain type of person to have the drive to succeed independently. You have to be self-motivated, structured, because there's no boss that's going to write me up if I'm late to something. I don't have a bonus dangling over my head at the end of the year. I make it or I don't. I'm there or I'm not. It's all on me. And that you have to be able to have that pressure motivate you versus be like, not booking that, I'm sleeping in. That's not an option. You want the money or you don't.
Right.
And if I feel like it's kind of tacky for people to mention money sometimes because I think that especially as women, I don't know if it's a man thing too, but we're kind of trained to not mention the price of things or, be like, oh, don't worry about the bill, things like that. No, if you're a business owner and you tell people that you're not in it to make money, you're a liar. There is no reason. Passion projects don't leave the house. You have to be a business owner to become successful, and part of success in my mind is financial stability. So you have to be a boss enough to motivate yourself and to get your money.
I follow you and watch you on social media, and you have a pretty consistent brand. Like when you go to your website, you can tell that you take what you do serious. Like
Thank you.
you're welcome. Like when did you realize, okay, if I'm going to do this, I got to make sure I'm doing it in the right manner. So that means that you had to hire most likely somebody who did a website, photographers and so forth, in order to have that brand. Like how did you know that was an important thing? Like 'cause some people like, oh, I can just do it with my cell phone and that's it.
If I were talented enough to do it myself, I probably would have tried to, let's be honest. Um, but no, I did hire a web designer. She's also in the process of redesigning my bridal contract for me. Actually, she's awesome. But I think doing what you can is important, but knowing when you need to invest the money so that it looks professional is important too. If I probably could have figured out how to make some website on my own, but it would have looked like third grade. So knowing when to invest to make your business look the way that you want it to look in your head is important. But knowing when to take that step, my first year and a half, I didn't have a website. I didn't have clients. So my word of mouth was spreading. I was building my social media base. I remember the day that I got a Facebook business page. And I was scared of that. I thought to myself, and I thought out loud to my friends, I thought, people on Facebook are mean. Strangers are mean. Am I brave enough to put my work out there and let it be critiqued by strangers? I didn't know I about had an anxiety attack like before I hit that publish button, because I thought, I don't know if I've got the balls to deal with some stranger telling me my work sucks online. And thankfully that hasn't happened yet, but strangers on the internet are mean. So just being ready to take that risk, I think you know when you're ready for the next step. You start to feel like you're too big for the box that you're in. So then you take that jump.
Let's talk a little bit about balancing family life, because being an entrepreneur, I mean that. Excuse me. Being an entrepreneur means sometimes you can't participate in all of the activities
Yeah.
and go with your wife or your boyfriend, like, because you have to work, the bills have to be paid. So, like, how do you balance that out?
Um, Sometimes it's tough and sometimes it is frustrating. One of the things that I was starting to feel the pressure of by the end of my first year was feeling like I was overworked. And I was so afraid of feeling burnt out on something that I loved so much and was so excited to get into. So going forward for last year, this year, and anything in the future, before I even start booking clients, I go through my calendar and I black out one weekend a month, and I try to make it, is this an important family birthday? Is this my birthday? Is this, if somebody's getting engaged, or like my best friend got married in December and I was her maid of honor, and started asking her like last March, hey, we need to pick a bachelorette party date. We need to, you do have to plan in advance a little bit. You have to designate time for yourself, and then sometimes you just have to suck it up and miss out. And it's not always fun, but it helps you get to where you're going. There's a lot of times that I've said, I can't go. I got to work at 6 a.m.
When did you realize that within your industry as being a makeup artist, like, oh, you can really make
Yeah.
some serious cash?
Well, yeah, no, there's definitely money to be made beyond what I'm making now. There's always goals. I don't want anybody that's watching this to think that, I'm going to drive home in my diamond crusted Bentley or something, because I'm not. But my friend that I keep referencing that does hair, I started out as a client of hers, and I paid her, the first time she ever did my hair, I paid her $70. That was at her salon. The last time that she did my hair, the bill was $1,200. So I was lucky to see close up what exists in the beauty industry and how fast it can change and happen, and it depends on your skill set. She leveled up times 10 on her skill set. She went out on her own. She owns her own salon now. She's killing it. That's been such an inspiration for me to watch, to see somebody go from $70 to more than 10 times that, almost 200 times. I don't know, I can't do math. I didn't get in this for math, but that's a lot of money. So to watch that happen, and then I think in this area, there's not a lot of, $1,000 makeup artists in the South Bend, Michiana area, but in Chicago, there's real celebrity there. I remember reading about, like in People magazine or something, that Kim Kardashian spent $10,000 on, her makeup for 6 months or something like that. That was the salary of one of her makeup artists, was $10,000 just for the services that this one artist provided over the course of 6 months. So people will pay a price to look a certain way. Women have always been worried about what they look like. They're not going to stop anytime soon.
How important would you say it is to travel outside of your city in order to, reach bigger markets, or to, gain more clients?
I think it depends on what your end goal is. If you're somebody that ultimately you want to make travel part of your regular career, go for it. If you're somebody that's considering relocating to a bigger area, do it. If travel is something that majorly inconveniences your life, if you're, a mom or a part of a family, if you've got commitments and you can't do it, then I would say don't try to fit that into your business, because you don't want to become committed to traveling God knows where on this many dates because that's where you found your clientele base. It's what works for you. Travel of any type works for me right now. So I'm able to book anywhere where there's interest for me. And I'm able to reach out to people in different areas and suggest working together or, want to collab with them. But again, it's what fits into your life. I don't have the luxury of like packing up and flying to California for at the drop of a hat tomorrow for a week, but maybe I could by next year. And maybe I'll have clients that want me to by next year. So you just kind of have to set yourself, I have to set myself. I'm in no position, I feel like, to give advice to anybody else on how to live their life because I'm figuring it out month by month, really. I'm still new at this, but I do know that I don't want to open up the door to something that I don't want to continue doing. If I say yes to it once, I'm going to be asked again, and then I either say yes again or I say no and I'm a jerk. So there's always the you did it for her kind of thing. So do you want to travel? Then do it. Then travel all the time. I would love to travel all the time. But if that's not something that fits, if you need to be home for Susie's soccer game, then that doesn't fit. And that doesn't make you less of a talented person or less of a business owner. You just have to design your business model to succeed around that.
So, being a business owner, entrepreneur, do you feel like you have like a more sense of pride as compared to just working a regular 9 to 5?
I definitely do. I feel it is something to be proud of when you check your bank account and you put that money there yourself. When you buy something and you know that every penny of that was yours, it didn't get filtered through somebody else's business first. You earned that money. There's no better feeling than knowing that every penny that somebody just paid you is yours because they liked your work, they thought you did a good job, and that's all yours.
How important would you say it is to have a mentor, like in the early stages, like with your friend that does the hair?
I think it's important at all stages, and at a certain point, it might become more like of a peer relationship. But you need that sounding board of somebody that gets what you're going through, that understands your industry and can offer relevant advice. Because it feels good to vent to any friend that, your best friend might be somebody that's got absolutely nothing to do with what you do, and you still love talking to them about it, but they can't give you true, honest feedback because they don't really know the ins and outs and all the details of it. So having the mentor to get you where you want to be and to guide you is, I would not be where I'm at if I didn't have that. And then as I've progressed and I've become more stable and had a more direct outlook on what I want to do, having that sort of peer relationship where I've got other people that are in the same position as me, career-wise, or that just having another person that gets it, that's so important. That you can talk to them, run business ideas by, and they can go, wow, that's amazing. Or they can go, you're going to hate that. And it's so important to have that.
Would you say you an introvert or an extrovert?
My friends don't believe me when I say this because they all know me well enough, but I am very much an introvert. Honestly, after this interview, I'm probably going to go home, watch Netflix for like 2 hours, post some stuff on Instagram, reply to some emails, and maybe not even talk to another human for the rest of the night. And I'm fine with that. It's very much an on and off switch for me. And I enjoy talking to people and being with people and working with people. I couldn't do what I do if I didn't like people. But as a person that's a little more reserved, it can be exhausting when you're done with a day of people coming at you the whole time. It's just like zapped every bit of energy you have, and you're like, please don't speak to me for the next 6 hours. My ears are turned off. But
So how are you able to like turn that switch on to say, okay, it's time to talk to people, because like I'm more of a introvert, you know, and so like sometimes I have to force myself to talk. Like I could be having a conversation, I'm like, well, what am I going to say next? So
No, I think one of the things that And it was a mindset that I didn't realize I had until I got asked a similar question like that, is how do you do what you do, but you're so, like, my friends were very blunt. They said, "You're so awkward in real life." And but it's different because I feel like I'm not selling myself when I'm doing this. I'm selling my business, and I believe 4,000% in my business, and I believe that I will give you exactly what you want, and I can do it in the right amount of time. And I am so confident in my business and what I do that it feels not hard, not forced. When I'm doing what I love to do, it just comes out and it's fine. And part of that is working with these people and talking to these people, and they're having a good time and I'm having a good time, and it feels fine. But it's different than, if you're just out at a bar or something and you're kind of quiet and you're like, I don't have anything to talk about, because you're not selling yourself then. You're selling yourself. You're not selling your business. It's just it's a different mindset when you're working. You're working. I think that's one of the things that that was a big switch that I had to make, to take it from a hobby project and like a side hustle kind of thing to the real deal. Was I had to start referring to it as work for myself, because I used to just say, I can't do that. I've got to do makeup in the morning. Or when you're asked to do something and you can't, and I would just say, I've got to do makeup for a few girls in the morning. No, you're working. You have to work, and you have to sign, or I have to at least say it out loud to make it real. This is work. This is my job. This is what I do now. And I know that it was more difficult for me at first to take myself seriously as somebody that is owning a business and providing a service and making money from it. It is work. It's not a hobby. This is what I do. It pays my bills. It's real. I carry insurance. I set aside money for taxes. Like, this is real. This is work. So
Did you know all of this stuff like in the beginning, like paying taxes and record keeping
so if the government's watching, yes, I absolutely paid you every penny that I owed you.
and if you could go back and start all over, what would be some things that you would do different?
If I could do things differently, I wouldn't say that there's any one particular thing that sticks out in my mind as being an awful, horrible idea, but I think that I would have taken myself seriously a lot sooner. Um, and it was, part of it was a self-confidence thing of can I even really do this? Am I really even good enough to say that this is something that I do now? And that was something that I struggled with before, and that I still struggle with sometimes, is comparing myself to people. So I think that I would have just taken myself seriously sooner and not doubted that what I was doing was good work, because there's some killer artists in this area, and turns out 99% of them are awesome and supportive and are excited to have somebody else that they can refer people to when they're all the way booked. They're not mean. I thought everybody was going to be mean and scary. Some people are not nice, but nobody's mean and scary.